Hey, g'day fellas. For the last year or so, give or take a few months, I've been working my ass off, taking a crack at designing my very own Fakémon generation. This is something that I'd been wanting to do for the better half of a decade. I grew up in Pokemon, you see, and well, when you're a kid and you have fuck all to do, you create. Now, this is not the same region I designed when I was like 9. I'd like to think that this project is a bit more well thought out than that steaming pile of shit. But hey, anyways. A lot of effort has been put into this, and a lot of money has been thrown down the drain to make this possible. So in this video series, I'm just gonna lay down my ideas for not only a brand new region of Pokemon, but also various new mechanics, plot lines, characters, regional variants, and lore. Now, I'm not gonna go tell you that this series will be perfect. I ain't a professional and don't really know what the fuck I'm doing. One thing I can assure, however, is that this series has passion behind it. So, welcome to Agnos, a region of the Pokemon world based off the civilization of ancient Greece. I have taken quite a few liberties in its design, however, but all that in time in another video. Just like in the games of old, after these initial formalities, you boys get the choice of your first Pokemon. So here are Foaliage, Pyrox, and Seapent, your starters. Oh yeah, and in the case of all these starters, they have been brought to life by the Oscar Belmont, or rGreywind on Twitter and Instagram. He is a fucking phenomenal artist, and I am so bloody happy with what he's done. Make sure you check him out. So I'm thinking that we start with Foaliage, our grass starter and first in the Agnos Pokédex. They are based on Treequus, the common ancestor of horses, donkeys, zebras, etc. And if you couldn't tell, they are heavily inspired by the Trojan horse, a tale in which Greek soldiers hid within a giant wooden horse in the Battle of Troy, as to infiltrate the city and open the gates for the rest of the army. This horse was made from olive wood, and therefore so is Foaliage. Just like the horse, this little dickhead enjoys playing tricks, though they are harmless ones. Some nights they'll sneak into civilian houses and markets, pretending to be a children's toy, only to spook an unsuspecting victim. Its name is a combination of fowl, as in baby horse, and foliage. Conveniently, it also sounds like foul, as in foul play, which could be said to describe the strategy of the Trojan horse. Next up, we have this little fucker. Pyrox is the little bull that represents the ox on the Chinese zodiac, and I think he is really fucking cute. However, other than this cuteness, he ain't got much going for him until he evolves. So his other inspirations will become a lot clearer then. One thing of note to mention, however, are the patches of tar that form over its body. This tar is a product of Pyrox's fire, and may temporarily cause blindness if unlucky. His name comes from pyro, derived from the Greek word for fire, and ox. Lastly is Seapent, our water starter. The pattern with all of these is that they are semi-aquatic animals with a connection to a weapon of sorts. And well, Seapent is a water-loving snake cross sea snake. Its title or weapon is only shown in its evolutions, however. Its name derives from the vast seas and serpent, which means large snake. When you put 2 and 2 together, you quite literally have sea snake. The narcissistic cunt also really likes to look at itself. It spends most of the day staring at its reflection. Oh, and the rattle on its head and tail stores oxygen. This is because some sea snakes breathe from their foreheads. And, well, the rattle looks like a squeaky toy, and those have air in them. Yeah. But not to worry, because soon it'll grow out of its old skin and evolve. This is Articonda, its name deriving from the words Arctic and Anaconda. It's an ice type now. Articonda has grown so much since it was but a mere Seapent. Now it has arms, a new type, and a whole new meaning to it. Articonda and its evolution are Gorgons, like that of the famous myth Medusa. For those who aren't aware, Medusa was a beautiful maiden who was cursed with snakes for hair after fucking Poseidon in Athena's temple. Now, she turns people to stone with even a quick glance at her. It is here that the weapon tie-in becomes much more apparent. Articonda's tail mimics the shape of a sword, much like the harp that Greek hero Perseus had beheaded Medusa with. Next, we have to evolve Pyrox and give him some well-deserved spunk, some pep in his step. Introducing Infernox. He's like Pyrox, but bigger. To be specific, Infernox, whose name is a combination of Inferno and Ox, is based off of both the Cretan and Brazen Bull. The Cretan Bull was the father to the Minotaur, and prone to lay waste to the lands around it. It was considered far too fine to be sacrificed to the gods. Infernox is similar in that it's kinda fugly and horridly uncivilized, but has a certain sort of charm to him. The Brazen Bull, on the other hand, was an ancient Greek torture method, in which the condemned were locked inside a large bronze ball as a fire was lit beneath them. The screams of the poor bastards, as though they were burnt alive, were converted into the sound of a bull through an acoustic apparatus. Because of this, Infernox's stomach is the source of its fire. Moving on, Foaliage evolves into Treequus, whose name comes from tree and equus. You see, as grass starters are all based on prehistoric megafauna, their connections to the past are definitely apparent. In fact, the subtle spread of leaves at the back of Treequus' front legs are reminiscent of the Calicothea's legs. The gorilla horse, which ironically is an ancestor to horses and rhinos, not gorillas, are weird fucking things that walk in their knuckles. Claws face them behind. Another old-timey feature that both Treequus and Foaliage have is the ring around their necks. This is in reference to the early Horace horse collar of Walt Disney Studios. This cheerful know-it-all cartoon character was the partner to Mickey Mouse from the earliest days of animation, and well, you know, that's old.
Oh, my very own Horace horse collar. Oh.
And just like old Horace, these Pokemon are definitely a bit up themselves, and are actually pretty devious. And although the little schemes they put on have often ended violent, they don't mean nothing by it. They're just looking to have some fun. So he ain't actually a dark type as of now. That being said, his evolution's intentions definitely aren't as pure. Centree is a bit of a twisted cunt, you see. It's cunning, conniving, and couldn't give two shits about upholding honor. This cruel nature has earned it the dark typing. Everything about it is evidence of that. In fact, since Centree is almost completely hollow, many smugglers use them to sneak valuables past others. Its name comes from the word tree again, but also now incorporates the word centaur. It also sounds like sentry, which are soldiers that guard at entrances. Centree sneaks goods past these types of soldiers. Whilst not being an actual centaur, Centree's roots stem from them. In particular, it is based on the tutor of heroes, Chiron, but if he was an arsehole that taught thieves, traders, and smugglers instead. In fact, the signature move of Centree, Centaur's Gambit, steals the life from its opponent, but it takes time to pull off. It's like if Future Sight and Giga Drain were combined. It does this via roots that are propelled from its shoulder pad things when it attacks. Centree's stats are pretty decent across the board. Nothing special, other than its speed, which is exceptionally high. Horses are fast, you know, and you gotta be quick if you don't want to get caught. And then there's Flamintar, who is actually a tad bit different from the others. You see, during the commission stage of designing this dude, I was initially unsatisfied, and so I paid for it to be redone. But after having my hands on them both for a while, the old design has really fucking grown on me. But for the sake of both simplicity and canonicity, this is Infernox's evolution, Flamintar. And for the older design, well, I've got a couple good ideas on what to do with him. I'm sure you've all noticed by now, but Flamintar is a full-fledged Minotaur. Half man, half bull. In addition to size, this fella's anger issues have only grown. Infernox was a nuisance, but Flamintar, if he's hungry, there's no stopping what may come. Flamintar is also now equipped with armor. As a steel type, it tends to grab pieces of scrap metal and place them onto its burning hot body. The metal melts onto it and stays in place as armor once it cools. Oh, and Flamintar's entire stomach is a forge. This explains its signature move, Molten Punch, in which Flamintar launches its powerful fists of metal into its opponents, dealing a heavy blow that may even leave them burning. Overall, Flamintar is quite the berserker. It favors physical attack, defense, and health, but is quite sluggish and ain't too hot when it comes to anything special-wise. And, oh yeah, its name is a combination of flaming and tar. When you kinda smush the words together, they sorta sound like Minotaur. Last but certainly not least, we have Gorgonice, the evolution of Articonda. Its name comes from Gorgon and ice. It also sounds a bit like Gorgonize. In older literature, Gorgons were said to be so fucking ugly that gazing upon them would instantly petrify you and turn you to stone. They had wings, tusks, claws, and scaly skin. However, in later interpretations, Gorgons were thought to just instead have locks of snakes that would turn people to stone upon direct sight. I wanted to incorporate both of these versions into Gorgonice's design. Whilst I felt the tusks and wings felt out of place, as a serpent she already had scaly skin, and I thought adding long ice nails to the ends of her fingers would work well. Once Gorgonice locks onto a target, she won't stop, she won't blink, she won't take her eyes off him. At any moment of direct eye contact, Gorgonice may freeze the opponent solid. This is exactly what Icy Gaze, Gorgonice's signature move, does. Icy Gaze has a chance to leave the opponent completely encased in ice, trapped. Gorgonice, whilst very physically frail, is quite proficient in its special attack and defense. And there we have it, our Agnos Region starter Pokemon. Now I'm sure that those of you more versed in Greek mythology have picked up on the fact that these Pokemon all have connections to legendary Greek heroes. Theseus slew the Minotaur in its labyrinth, Perseus cut the snake bitch's head off, and Centree is associated with Achilles, the greatest hero of the Trojan War, and student of Chiron the Centaur. But the fuck were these quote-unquote starter Pokemon doing left in Professor Hawthorne's quarters? What is it that he was trying to find out? Well, all will be revealed in another video. Anyway, which starter Pokemon do you think you'd pick? Let me know in the comments down below. These Fakémon videos aren't easy to make, and they're expensive as all hell, so help a brother out and subscribe. Ciao.